Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Ryan Toms here, and today we've got fail tech. And today I'm going to be comparing the Google Nexus 4 with the Apple iPhone 5S. So these are all the little things about it, the performance, the screen, the cameras, what I would pick, the prices, stuff like that. Now there has been a decent amount of comparison going on in the comments in some of my videos, so actually I did want to make a comparison video to kind of tie things up. Now, you guys have been really supportive on the Nexus 5 video. We did get a decent amount of likes, but we have got a decent amount of dislikes as well. I'm going to be going into a little bit more detail than Morgan did in maybe a few less words. So this is a bit more like a comparison and a little bit more analytical compared to what he was talking about. Okay, so the screen, the thing you're going to be staring at most of the time. So the iPhone 5S has a sub 720p 4-inch display, and the Nexus 5 has a 5-inch 1080p panel. For straight up display, I'm going straight for the Nexus 5 instantly. It is just amazing compared to the iPhone. Not really because of its size. I mean, there's a whole inch difference, and that is still the screen is way too small for me, and it's still an inch bigger. But it's just, I don't know, it's something about having just a wider screen slightly and just a little bit bigger of a screen. I hate small screens. They really annoy me. I want a bigger TV screen, I want bigger computer monitors. I want bigger, the bigger screens are really the better ones, not only because my eyesight isn't the best, but like after using a 5.5 inch iPhone, you can't go back to a 4-inch iPhone. It's just impossible. Next is build. So the iPhone is an obvious mix of metal and glass. I really like this mix, and I think it's built very, very well, especially with the chamfers on the edge and everything. It just, the feel and the fit and the finish is very, very good as well. The Nexus 5, on the other hand, is very plasticky, although it does use soft touch on the back, which is my favourite kind of finish. So, I mean, it feels better than the iPhone in the hand, but it's still plasticky, and there's just one pane of glass on the front instead of like having metal and premiumness. So actually, I'm going to give the build straight to the iPhone 5S without a doubt. Camera. First thing before I get into the specs of the camera, the Nexus 5 does have a bit of a camera bump, whereas the iPhone 5S doesn't, so that's something to watch out for. But both are very, very similar specs, and this kind of shows that specs aren't always the best when it comes to reviewing cameras, because they're both 8 megapixels, they're both capable of shooting 1080p video, but the iPhone absolutely steals the show here. The camera on the iPhone 5S is absolutely phenomenal. It's similar, very, very similar to the one found in the iPhone 5, and this one's capable of shooting 120 FPS at 720p, which is still very, very good. So actually I would definitely have to give this to the iPhone 5S. Speakers. Well, the speaker on the iPhone is surprisingly, it's a little bit bassy, like it's still quite punchy, but it's still not that great of a speaker. Nexus 5 is much worse than this. It's more tinny. I guess it could be a little bit more clear, but it's not as punchy, it's not as fun to listen to as the iPhone 5S. Batteries on them. The iPhone 5S is still pretty good, and it will last you a full day, obviously having to power the smallest screen known to man, whereas the Nexus 5 has actually got a really bad battery. It does degrade over time, which is really, really bad. Morgan has to charge his phone almost 4 times a day now if he's using it quite heavily, which is not very good. Just for comparison, yesterday, which I went out with Morgan and I did things, and I'll link my vlogs actually, random plug, in the description. I went out, came back, my iPhone 6S Plus rather, had gone down from 0%, from 100%, to 92% in the whole day. That's mad. iPhones are very, very good at keeping their batteries stat. That's why I'm going to give this battery to the iPhone 5S Plus. 5S Plus? Jesus. iPhones are good at retaining battery life, so I'm going to give this to the iPhone 5S. Performance. iPhone 5S is still very good because obviously Apple has optimized all their software, and although the Nexus 5 has Marshmallow, it is still very, very good as well. So even though it's slightly older, so actually I don't think I'd be able to give one to the other. Probably going to have to give performance to the Nexus 5 because in fact it is having to drive a higher screen, and if it's working at the same quality but being able to drive a higher resolution screen, actually you're probably better off giving it to the Nexus 5. SD cards and removable batteries. Well, this is simple because no across the entire board. No removable battery on either phones, no expandable storage on either phones, at least in hardware. You can though get little USB sticks which plug into your phone, which is kind of cool. And on Morgan's phone, he's got an OTG cable, which means he can connect micro USB on one end and then a female USB on the other end. He can plug a mouse into his phone and keyboard. Not something you can really do that easily on the iPhone, although you can get Bluetooth and connect them up that way. but I just thought this was really, really cool. Two things that I did miss out though is the fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner is on the iPhone 5S, which is crucial because, as we know, fingerprint scanners, oh, amazing. So we've got a fingerprint scanner on the iPhone 5S, and we've got not a fingerprint scanner on the Nexus 5. If I had to buy one of these phones, I wouldn't buy one of these phones. I mean, they're roughly the same price now. I probably wouldn't buy one of these phones. I'd probably go and buy a 1M8 from a previous video that I made. The iPhone 5S is decent performance, decent cameras, and stuff like this, but it's just plain too small. Callum's got a 5S and my mum's got an iPhone 5, and they're just ridiculously small phones. Now that's coming from a 5.5 inch screen, and you know, some people who have 6.5 inch screens will tell you that's a small screen. So it's really about perspective. But for me, 5.5 inch is a sweet spot, and both of these phones are small. The reason I wouldn't pick the iPhone is because it's got a small screen, but the reason I wouldn't pick the Nexus 5 is not only its build quality, but also the fact that it's degrading. And a lot of Android phones do degrade over time, which is not the best, whereas Apple seems to be carrying on. I think the 4S is still supported, which is like 4 or 5 years old. That's ridiculous. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave it at that. It's been a decently long video. So this has been the iPhone 5S versus the Nexus 5. The definitive answer is I would, out of the two, don't do this to me, I'd probably buy the Nexus 5, to be honest, just because of its performance and slightly larger screen. Whereas if you want an iPhone, and you really, really want an iPhone on a budget, the 5S would probably be the best phone to go with because it's fast, it's got good cameras, great build, and iPhones are renowned for being small anyway, so you kind of got a small screen there. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave this video. Thank you for watching, and dispute in the comments, I don't care. Check out my vlogs in the comments as well, check out my vlogs in the description as well, because I do have vlogs and I vlog daily. So see you in the next one. Peace!